guys! So, sorry, I'm late. There are so many things happening down here. Sometimes I just can't keep up. So, I started today at 7:30 in the morning. I had a great lesson with Christine Traurig this morning, and I'm gonna get into some of that later. Couple of things. I am not prepared tonight, and it was too big of a subject to just off the cuff talk about it. But Martin Arnold, my former actual working student, and now he's a wonderful trainer in Texas, he had texted me about a topic and about, how have I developed my inner game, and how to develop a thick skin, and how to create positive self-talk instead of the negative voice that's always, as Brene Brown would say, the gremlins. Like, don't let the gremlins come in. But I think I'll talk about that next week because I need a little time to prepare for that, because that is a big subject and everyone struggles with that. So I think I can definitely share some insight on that and share things that have helped for me, what books I've read about that. I feel like if I was not a trainer and a horse trainer, I probably would have gone into the field of, after my illustrious basketball career, probably. Just kidding. But I probably would have gone into some kind of like sports psychology, because I love that. And I find that so powerful, like everybody's inner game. And everyone works on it, and everyone has someone to talk to about it. So I definitely want to have more time to prepare for that. And I think also an interesting subject also might be how to run a successful business, how to keep clients happy. I just was sharing on Facebook that Michelle Mason Muller and I have been friends, I think on Facebook for like 11 years, but I've actually known her for like 30 and have been friends with her. And now she co-owns a horse with me, Freddie. She owns half of Freddie. And like how to keep everyone feeling involved. And so I definitely, if you guys are interested in that too, I can talk more about that on another live. But I think next week for sure, I want to talk about inner game and how to create a thick skin and be successful in the sport and successful in your life, because at the end of the day, it's about that. Quick announcements. Tonight, I'm going to fill in you guys what the week was like, because I got to ride with 3 Olympians this week, because there's no rest for the wicked. And actually with like 16 horses in the barn, it's easy to just like pull one out and get some help, because we all need a lot of help, and that never ends, and it really is never not about the basics. So I just wanted to share. I want to share with you guys the top topics we spoke about in my lessons. So, of course, I rode with Allie at the horse show. I showed Gideon in the 3-star CDI. Then Stefan came out and helped me with 2 of my horses on Monday, and then he sat down with me for a podcast. So I want to thank him so much for doing that. And it was a beautiful conversation, and I'm just so grateful for that. And then this morning, really early this morning, I rode with Christine Traurig, and that was the first time I've ever ridden with her, and she's actually our national young horse coach. So I rode Denali, who is coming 7, and quite a wonderful talent. He's owned by Keki Vroom and Dean Wright. And he's a great horse. I think you guys have seen a couple of photos of him and some videos, but he's really one of the special ones in the pipeline. And so that was an excellent lesson this morning. It was really great. So I'm going to talk about that and, share with you guys some of my bullet points from that. But I just have to make a quick announcement. because I'm so excited that the podcast is available on Apple. This was like, I totally freaked out. I sent it to my family. I sent it to everybody. I was like, I didn't think at the time it meant that much to me, because it was like on Spotify and blah, blah, and it's kind of this new thing. And then it got approved by Apple, and I just could have done a cartwheel, but I probably would have thrown my back out, so that would have not been a good idea. But I wanted to really do a cartwheel. So I'm so happy. So thank you guys all for all of your support, and everyone who loves the Academy, and everybody who joins me here. Now you can also listen to me on Apple. So that's great. Really excited about that. We are gearing up for our spring enrollment. So for all of you who had a really questionable 2020, which was basically all of us, which is why the Academy got started in the first place, because I couldn't teach any clinics. So I have a need to teach. It's lives in me to share. And obviously I'm a TMI sharer all the time. But I feel like that's how we learn. And I wish somebody would have told me this stuff when I was in my 20s, and actually probably also in my 30s. So, yeah, we're just really thrilled all of you are here, and I thank you guys so much for your support. And the spring enrollment is right around the corner. That's going to start on the 13th, which is, I think, a new moon, so we're excited about that. And it's going to go to the 20th. So that's a full week, so that'll be great. And you can visit anything you need to know at teamtateacademy.com. But yes, what else? We've got some really fun challenges. I think we posted the first one. So I hope you guys start posting in here, because I can't wait to see your videos. This morning we did no stirrups. So that's the next challenge. So be ready to do that. So that'll be really fun. You can show whatever you want without your stirrups. That'll be fun. I think I did some half pass and some canter trot transitions. Yeah, so that'll be fun for you guys to do that as well. I got interviewed with Reese and Philip for the Dressage radio show. So that was really fun to talk to them. It was short and sweet, and yeah, but just really fun to hear from them. And I wish we could have all done it in person, because that would be fun. But times are different, times are weird, and we got to adjust and keep going forward. Turn and put your leg on. So yeah, and again, I interviewed Stefan on Monday. He was really generous with his time, and yeah, it was really a beautiful conversation, I have to say. He was really open about a lot of things, and of course it's always inspiring to talk to him and hear about how he works through things and how he keeps showing up over and over again on great horses and doing a great job. So I think you guys will really enjoy that, so I can't wait to share that as well. And then yeah, so let's talk about this. Oh no, I did one more thing. I did this tonight. We had an interview with Sarah Memi from University of Louisville. She is the assistant professor of marketing. So for her class, she interviewed me and Catherine Respis, who helps run my academy. And it was such a fun conversation. And at the end, I thought it was a great idea to share, because at the end, she asked me, what would I share with her students, how to be successful in life and in your business. And I really feel like this industry is difficult, because it really creates this illusion, and you do have to work hard. You have to put your hours in, you have to put your time in, and you got to pay a lot of dues and have a lot of grit and perseverance and all of those things for sure. But I do think it's really important to do something that's really organic and authentic to you. I do feel like the Team Tate Academy is my calling. I mean, I love to ride, and I love to get better, and I love to learn, and I love to develop horses, and I love for my horses to love to work for me and feel their improvement, and I love all that, and that will never change for me. But that's a little bit like I'm serving the horse, but in a way I'm also sort of serving my own selfishness of getting better, and like my self-actualization is sort of about me and my growth. And I've always felt a pull and a need to help others. I've always been like the captain of the team, and I've always been a leader, and so that's really important to be able to give back and help, you know, expose people and share with people what wonderful things I've learned from Charles DeCumpy and all the wonderful teachers. I mean, God, like, who gets to ride with 3 Olympians in, I think it was 4 days? I mean, that's like, wow, it's wonderful. I'm so blessed. I've also worked really hard, but I'm really blessed to do that. And so, like, part of the success is about really picking something that is authentic to yourself and then honoring that of which is inside you. And for me, it's always been about sharing and wanting to help a lot of horses because I love horses so much. I love horses. Horse. But it's important to me to help educate the riders so that they can ride their horses better and train them better. And so that's always been really important to me. And that's where the Academy sort of organically came from. And I think that's why it's successful, because it really is coming from inside me to want to help. I do think it's also important for everyone out there doing this, or doing anything really, to know thyself. I have a little statue plaque that I got from my grandpa, and he used to always have this on his desk, and it says, like, know thyself. And you know, it was just this wonderful memento that I taken from my grandfather, and now I know just how important that truly is, to really know and to really honor who you are and understand how you tick. I think it's important that we don't compare ourselves to other people. I think it's really important that you compare yourself to the best version of who you know you can be. And so what I mean by that is not everybody needs to work 60 plus hours a week to be successful. Like, maybe it's going to serve you better to get a normal job or have a normal family and ride your one horse or half lease your friend's horse. Not everyone needs to ride, 16 horses a day to be successful. And it's really about understanding who you are and what you need, and respecting yourself enough to show up for yourself in that way. A lot of times we have to really think about, if I treated my best friend like I treat myself, or if I spoke to my best friend like I speak to myself on the inside, would I still be friends with me? And so I think that's powerful to think about sometimes. And that was a thing, I said in this interview, and it really is powerful to know who you are. I get a lot of sleep at night, maybe not a lot of hours, but I get good sleep, and I'm lucky. I did not know how lucky I was. But rest is a huge piece of being able to show up every day in the best way possible. And so I think if you need 2 days off a week, if you need 2 mornings a week to sleep in because you're not a great sleeper at night, your mind keeps going and you can't go to bed till like 1 o'clock, and then your alarm clock goes off at 6 and you're exhausted, and you need 2 mornings a week. Well, that's not the typical time for a rider or a trainer or a barn manager or a groom to be in the barn, but you have to kind of figure out And you'll find a lot more happiness when you understand what you need and really speak up for yourself. That's kind of like my new idea for, what young people need to hear, or people in the sport about, should I be a trainer? And you can make it look however you want it to look. I mean, I never thought a year ago I would be having almost 600 members in my academy. I never even thought I was going to be online teaching an academy. I mean, I thought I was going to build it with a building and some classrooms and, all these things. And then it completely changed. And it's important to really honor that inside of you, what is authentic to you personally, and figure out how best to feed your soul. And we're all different, and that's okay. It's okay to march to the beat of your own drum. Actually, that's, I think, the main thing that will create success for you, is figuring out how it works best for you. So that's the big advice there. And moving on to my lessons. So, as most of you guys know, we had the show this weekend. I showed Gideon, and I was in a really good mental space, so I was a little disappointed with how the show went, because I felt really relaxed, and just like Megan said in here, comparison is the thief of joy. So at first, I always go to horse shows down here, and I am riding around all these fantastic riders, and I'm like, oh, Stefan sits like this, and Ashley Hoser sits like that, and ooh, she's really good, and she's riding like that, and oh, she's got those kind of spurs on. Because if most of you know me, or maybe some of you don't, like, I don't miss a thing. I got like eagle eye, I got my eye on you, because I'm always interested in learning. And so I'm also inspired very easy. So that is also why it's also interesting for me to like look at how everyone else is doing things. And not that I'm gonna throw away what I know to be true for me, but it's just, sometimes it's interesting to just think about something that you hadn't thought of before. So I was riding around, and I finally said to myself, like, you don't need to sit like someone, or ride like someone, or hold your hands like someone. You need to hold your hands like you. You are you, and one day people are gonna wanna sit like you. I wanna sit like JJ, and I wanna have hands like JJ, or she's got such a good seat, I want that seat. So that was like a really interesting thing of, again, like that authenticity of how are you showing up. And so, yeah, so that was something that I just like really brought myself back to sit like I sit, because I can only be the best version of me. Like, if I attempted to be Stefan Peters, which I admire him, he's amazing, he's inspiring to me, he's super helpful to me every time I have a question, he's like there for me. So that's wonderful to have. But no matter how hard I would make an effort to ride exactly like Stefan, I will never ride exactly like him, because I'm not him. I am me, and you're you, and we all need to just honor that of what's in ourselves. So I was really in a good mental place after that whole conversation in my head. And thank you for those in the chat who are telling me they want seat and hands like me. Thank you, guys. And even Allie said, like, you're in a really good mental place. But I did not bring the heat. I did not bring the intensity. And so on the first test, we were feeling pretty good. And usually Gideon gets pretty up in the test. And so I was sort of anticipating that he was going to do that, except he did not do that. So I didn't really spend enough time in my warm-up really making him, hot and reactive to my leg, because, I thought he was going to go in there and fire up. And then he just did not fire up. And then I had no whip, and then he had to poop. And then just, it just did not go great. It had no sparkle. And Gideon is pretty sparkly. He's pretty charming. He's pretty awesome. And so when he isn't like up and like showing off, he just looks kind of nice and normal. And so we got a nice and normal score. So, and he was actually not feeling that great the night before. So that I was proud of myself that I wasn't all freaked out about how he was going to feel, because he had a little bit upset tummy and, just wasn't feeling himself. And so I couldn't really have a great school on Wednesday. So for me to show up on Thursday in a really good mental spot, I was happy with that. But then in the test, it just wasn't great. So then I watched my freestyle from Devin like 100 times and really carved out what was going to make my best performance at 7:10 Friday night. So we're allowed to ride in the mornings from like 6:30 to 7:30 in the mornings. So I got up and Abby did a great job grooming, and I got on him about 6:45 and schooled him in the morning, and just really like got my wits about me and really worked on kind of obedience in a way. Like when I put my leg on you, something needs to happen. If I squeeze my ring finger, something needs to happen. And so my intensity was already, like I had a way different intent, and he showed up. He was fired up, even in the morning. So that was a great sign. Then I went home and I rode some horses, and then I mentally prepared and got myself together. And then I already brought the heat in my warm-up for the freestyle. And I actually thought a lot about Devin because, of course, like he was so great at Devin, but he was also great at Devin because in the Grand Prix, my hamstring was cramping. So here I am at the test at Devin a year and a half ago. In the test, like my leg is cramping. I can hardly use it. It's a horrible feeling. So, and I was like, I just need to make it through the Grand Prix because I have to ride this freestyle because it is so much fun. Everyone is going to love it. And I love this horse and I can't wait to show everyone how fun this is. Dressage is fun. And so I struggled through the Grand Prix and we were fine. But that night for the freestyle, I was like, dude, you gotta come 80 because I only got 20. You have to show up. You have to be alert on my leg and ready to go, and you need to take me somewhere because if my leg cramps again, I might cry. So my warm-up was like a totally different like firepower. And so I said to Allie on Friday, before the warm-up for the horse show, or this last Friday, I was like, I've decided I need to pretend that my leg might cramp. And he needs to be that electric off my leg. That he is, if I say jump, he says how high. And I'm intense. I know I seem really relaxed and fun here, and I'm that too, but I also have a very intense side of me that I always have to be careful with my horses that I don't get riding at them. And like, gah, 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 gah. Like, we're gonna do it. You need to do it. Because then it's like, I feel like I'm not blooming the horse from the inside out. I'm like riding at them. And so I never, ever, ever want to make my horses feel like they are a piece of equipment or a thing I'm going to accomplish my egotistical goals with. Like, I love my horses. They love to work for me. It's a partnership. I like worship the ground they walk on. I love them. My whole life has revolved around them. I love them so much. So I always have to be careful, like I don't get at them. And so, you're riding top sport. So, and I mean, I'm on a 15 two-hand 3/4 Connemara. So it's like, dude, we have to be special. And so I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't at him. And so there's this fine line of being like intense, but not tense. And there's a fine line of inspiring him to react to me instead of like forcing him to react to me. And so I wanted to grow who he is and show that off to the judges, not like make him be more than he is. And so there's always this like how to do that, you know? So we had a great warm up and he was great in the test. And the judges were really positive in their comments. And we just lost our balance in the right lead canter pirouette. So that was like a big mistake. Otherwise, it would have been really great. And that was that's never happened before, you know, of course. New problem to fix. But yeah, I mean, it's just always about like not riding to the next movement, but riding to the next best perfect balance. The next best perfect balance. The next best perfect balance. So like everything you're doing in the test or even in your ride is not that shoulder in or that leg yield or that one pirouette. It's like, is he with me in perfect balance? And so I lost that a little bit in the right pirouette. So that was not great. But overall, I was really happy with our performance. And then on Monday, I had a strategy meeting with Allie. So that was really great to sit down with her away from the barn and go over with all the horses, you know, what's the plan? What's the goal? How are we going to get there? What do we need to change? And she now coaches a lot of people and she's been down that center line herself. So it was really fun to really sit down and think it through. And so some of the things that we, you know, talked about was I need to not just demand this kind of obedient reaction to my aids at the horse show for the test like it's something special. I need to strive for that excellent reaction every day, all the time at home. Without, of course, for me personally, feeling that my horses feel picked on or like they're not enough. Because they're great just the way they are. And we can all get better, just like all of us. Everybody can improve. But how you are is great, just the way you are. We can, of course, work on the skills to become better. So that was something I definitely even incorporated this week already. And I need to become, just that little bit more intense and have more clarity in my riding and a little bit more discipline. And I'll get more into that because Stefan, we talked a lot about, like, he is that. Like, he got on my horses on Monday as well. And, I mean, he is the king of discipline and high standard. And Allie has high standards too. But, like, to hear Stefan, I'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, more about Allie. So we also need to practice the test more, which I thought was interesting because when I was training with Eula Dalos in Hungary, he would always say, I was a young rider then too, obviously I was there from like 18 years old to 21, and he would always say, you need to, young riders need to practice the tests more often, like you need to just ride more tests. And I thought that was interesting because then I got into a habit for many years that then I just never rode the test. And I just got the horse feeling in a way that I knew the test would go well because of how I got the horse on my aids. But turns out he's not enough on my aids because if he has to poop, then he is not capable of showing up anyway. So it was interesting. So I definitely need to create more intensity at home. I need to really, really, really pay attention to every reaction. Every request I make, what's the reaction I'm getting? So I definitely have to clean that up. And Gideon was totally awesome today, so we are on the right track. I also am being forced to ride without the whip, which is interesting because I actually have been feeling this last 2 weeks. I've been riding less with my whip, and I don't miss it. And I feel like I actually ride better without it. But I do think I was doing a little bit like the unconscious tap. Like, oh, he's not really listening. So, I just tap him with the stick. Instead of like ask, tell, demand. And the demand would be loud from the whip. So that the point is, I don't have to use the whip at all. So yeah, we're just like totally like upping the ante in general. So it was super helpful with Allie, and talk about like what a couple other top riders in the group are doing. And like I feel like I do the Grand Prix test, and then like woo, the horse needs to be iced and poulticed, and it's like this big deal. And I definitely need to create more fitness, and that if he needed to, he could run through the test like again. So definitely not there. So I need to work on that. Of course, without, you know, I got to build up his fitness for that and prepare. But with that in mind, I think that's really helpful for sure. So then on the same day, Stefan came over, and he helped me with Apollo, of course, because Apollo is the most amazing, incredible, talented, frustrating freak of a horse I've ever had. And he's amazing, and I love him. But it's been a real challenge. And literally, I mean, one of the most difficult horses, in the way that he's not difficult like he would rear or buck or spook. Like, he's so honest. He's amazing. But he's really struggled with finding a consistent tempo in the trot. And this has been like my nemesis. And I'll probably have some night a talk just about Apollo, because I mean, I've been so frustrated, and I've had to really do some positive self-talks about, and I love this horse so much. Like, he whinnies when he sees me. He loves to work for me. Like, we're a dynamic duo for sure, but it has not been easy. Let me just say that. So Stefan came out, and I rode Apollo, and then he rode Apollo, and then I got back on. And then I also warmed up Denali, and then he also rode Denali as well. So the big takeaways for me with Stefan is that, first, I'm overcomplicating everything. So I just have, I don't know if it's like an engineering mind or what, but I'm like, why is that? Where does that come from? And why is that happening? I need to always know why. That's just always how I've been. I always want to understand how it works, what's going on, why he's doing that, where does that come from, what can I do to fix it? And so Apollo has this thing that it's hard for him to go around a left corner. And he like loses his balance, and we just have like it's awkward is the best way to describe like our left corners. And so Stefan rode him, and I'm like, okay, so like, where is that coming from? Like, what is that? I'm like, I can't get him in the corner. And he's like, yeah, he just doesn't want to go in the corner. So you just have to ride him into the corner. I was like, well, yeah, yes, okay. Like, it was so funny, because I'm just like, and it's like, for him, it didn't really matter where it was coming from. He was doing that. Don't let him do that. That's the end of it. So that was really funny, because I'm like, do you think it's coming from the left hind leg, or is he like falling on the left shoulder because he wants to get off the right hind leg, and la 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 la? And he's like, just don't go there. Just do a circle, or just put him in the corner and just teach him about that's your new standard. So first and foremost from Stefan, what I learned is don't overcomplicate things. Yeah, exactly, Megan. No rabbit holes. I mean, Apollo just like pulls me down in there. And then there's like lots of different tunnels once I get down in there. So Stefan definitely helped me stay above ground and not go down the rabbit hole. So, and I think what's special about Stefan is that he's got such high standards for where he wants the horse. So I feel that in the frame, I feel that in the amount of engagement, and I feel that in the horse's balance. And that's, again, when we talk about intensity, the amount of concentration it takes to truly be like, oh, no, don't go there. And like every time the horse was rude into the contact, he gave him a little touch with the stick, to just change the horse's reaction to like pulling on the bit to a little touch with the whip, to be like, no, think about your hind legs, because at the end of the day, the hind legs make the neck, right? So it was about always reminding the horse about the hind legs, but also like the consequence of action reaction. Like if the horse pulled, there was a little reminder to be like, no, you know. And then Stefan was saying too, with a horse like Apollo, who's intelligent and eager to please and pretty sensitive, he thought a lot of vocal cues would be good too, because then like Apollo is like falling over himself to do it right, and then he like can't stand still because he's like, you know, always adjusting. And so there is this like contentment we have to, when riding Apollo, we have to always take care that there's clear standards, high standards, but also this contentment so that the horse feels really good about himself and comfortable with who he is and how he's reacting. But it's one of those things of like, you're good, but could you maybe do it a little bit more like this? You know, but like you're good inside yourself. And so I think that's pretty special about Stefan in general, because he rides a lot of different kinds of horses and has been successful on all kinds of different horses. And he really like molds them all into what he wants through that clarity, but also, you know, these quiet corrections, but this high standard. And, you know, he's got such a wonderful seat. And so it was a really great visual for me to like watch him sit on my horses and, you know, how he's aiding for things. And, but the whole like do not complicate it was really good. And again, like one of the things I've always said about Stefan, we went to visit him many years ago, and we stayed with him and Shannon, and there's like no clutter in their house. And I'm like, I know you can't totally see behind me, but like, I'm kinesthetic, so you do not want to see my desk. And what was amazing to me is like they had no clutter. And it reminded me of, to really live a mindful life is about going back to the simple things. I've always loved that that sign or that saying. That's like all I really ever needed to know I learned in kindergarten. You know, like say please and thank you, look both ways before you cross the street, hold hands, put it away if you took it out, you know, just like those simple things. And I've always loved that. And when we first start life or we first start dressage, everything is simple because we don't know anything else. We don't know anything different. Then you start to learn and everything gets, wow, so much deeper and kind of complicated and so interesting and so intricate. And then you get like a little bit overwhelmed by this amazing amount of information, and you really realize how much you don't know. Like what I know is how much I don't know and how much I have yet to learn. And then you have to sort of step into that profound place that it does become simple truths at some point. And that was really powerful. And that was also like evident in their house that they like live like that. And it's also evident every time I watch Stefan ride, and every time he teaches me, he's always like, don't kick the can down the street. And don't make a science project out of it. Just make it simple. And it's like, yeah, because it should be simple. And by simple, of course, we don't mean easy, because nothing's really easy. Of course, it's supposed to look easy, but you know, simple doesn't mean it's easy. But simple is just, again, that least common denominator. Like divide it down. Divide it down. No, you're still too complicated. You're still too up here. Divide it down again. And so that was a really powerful lesson that he helped me with, for sure. And then this morning, I got the wonderful opportunity to ride in a lesson with Christine. And I'm sharing a stable with Sabine Shoot-Carey, who just like won everything at Global with like a 77. She was awesome. And she's not only a totally terrific person, but she's a beautiful rider and someone I've always admired and love her connection with Senseo. And it's really fun to see her on other horses because she's beautiful on everything she sits on. So that's just wonderful to be around her every day and have a great relationship together and really mutually talk about horses and the sport, and it's just great. But Christine helps her. And so every time Christine comes out there, I'm sort of like riding around and listening. And the lessons are in German, but I can understand most of it. So it's just been so fun to see that. So I got my own chance to ride with Christine Traurig this morning, and it was awesome. So again, she's one of our Olympians. She's our national young horse coach. She's really based in the German classical system. She has a wonderful way to say things and explain things. And so one of the big things that Stefan and I also talked about, and then Christine really followed up because I rode Denali with her, was that this idea of isometric resistance, and that sometimes you need to hold. So if you want the horse to like flex in the neck or in the poll, you know, flexion in the poll and the jowl, sometimes it can be really beneficial to just quietly hold until you feel the horse start to give. And so then you reward that the horse feels the pressure, he releases, and then you release. And Charles teaches that, you know, all the time. Instead of this like seesawing, I pull your head, and then I give, and then I pull again, and I give. That's really just building up actually the wrong muscles. So Stefan talks about this, and Christine talked about this too, how important it is to sometimes hold and just stay steady until you feel the horse come through that, and then you give the big reward after that. So that was something really fun to follow up with her as well. And we did a lot of wonderful exercises with suppling the body, because we spoke a lot about Denali is a beautiful horse, super talented, and really a top horse coming up. I'm really grateful to ride him, so thank you, Keki and Dean. But he's got a very big brace in the neck. And so for me, you know, I have to get the brace out of the neck because it just feels so yucky. And the more he braces in the neck, the slower he is behind. So there's like this activating the hind leg, but if he's tight in the neck, you're just kicking the hind leg up into a stiff rib cage and a stiff neck. So it's about really being able to coordinate, you know, suppling his whole body, holding until he gives in the neck, and then driving the hind leg through that neck. So that was a really fun time this morning, really showing him how he can use his body better. We had great exercises, and she really helped me coach him through those moments of like, in the canter, he wants to just get a bit too much up and down. And so it was just sort of like, and I tell my riders this too, like sometimes like just here's your finger, and you're just going to like put your thumb, just put your finger, don't press harder, don't go away, just stay. Just hold your finger on it. Just put your finger on it until he comes to the other side, and he figures his way out of that. So that was extremely helpful again. And yeah, and just like he needs to come up with that answer. Like he is too strong for me to muscle around or make him give. You know, it's like that whole thing when a horse is tense and you're like, relax, damn it, you know. So that never works. And neither does like, stop pulling, you know, like, and then you pull, right? Like that also doesn't work. How I know these things is because I've made lots of mistakes, and I learn from them. So yeah, it was really great to really help Denali put the pieces together of how his whole body needs to work together, and then how to introduce different exercises for the flying changes, and how he needs to understand all that better. So that was just a wonderful week, and those are my big takeaways. I'm sure I will share some of those things also with some pictures and some videos here on Team Tate TV. And yeah, so I would say cheers, and here's a toast to keeping being inspired, and we all keep learning, and it's always about the basics. And yeah, I'm happy you guys are here. Look for the doors to open for the next enrollment, the spring enrollment for Team Tate Academy, where you can learn all about all these different exercises and how to aid for them and how to sit and all those good stuffs. But next week, I'm going to tackle inner game. Thanks to Martin Arnold. Thank you for the great idea. So that'll be really fun. So I hope you guys tune in next week as well. And look for the Team Tate challenges in here. It's going to be really fun. And yeah, so make it a great night, you guys. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you soon. All right, bye.